All right, now you're good.
But that doesn't mean
No, we're good, David.
We're good.
Hi, how are you? How are you?
Good. Donna didn't know she was supposed to do a budget review until right now,
It's
so.
just fine.
Yeah.
We're 95%, you know, it's just. Chief McCollum can catch you up. Right, good evening. I will call the first committee meeting, public safety, to order at 6:02 on November 7th. Present is myself, Mr. Allgood and Mr. Craling, as well as our interim city administrator, Rebecca Vance, and other department heads and chiefs. My voice is limited. I'm hoping I will not cough, so I will be not my usual talkative self tonight. I'm gonna try to put that on chief. Well, you're not even on the agenda tonight, Nicole, are you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
I mean, your budget review. Okay, first public comments of the evening. Do we have anyone that would like to speak on public safety? Do what?
David has the
Oh,
finance agenda up.
Which one are we? Public safety.
Public safety, there you go.
thank you.
No problem. Sorry for disrupting.
No,
Thank you.
we need to know. I'm looking at paper, not my computer. All right, we're good now. Okay, no public comment. That takes us to reading and approval of the minutes from our September 6th committee meeting.
Motion to approve minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Alvin. Have a motion and a second. Any corrections that are needed? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from September 6th, say aye. Aye. None opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next item is reports from our, there we go, Chief McCollum, you're up first.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. On our budget overview, we're right on track where we need to be, except for one line item. I want to bring it to y'all's attention for 170. It says we're in negative there, and what happened when the fire truck was in an accident, and it wasn't our fault. We paid for them to repair it, but we've already been paid back to the insurance company, so that's why you won't see that negative on there.
Perfect. Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief McCollum? Any reports you'd like to give us on new station?
Yes, ma'am. Also let you know, October was fire prevention month. We had several going to the schools and all that, have several talks with the kids and stuff. So that will be coming out in our monthly reports. And new station update, we had a meeting on October 20th with a general contractor and architect. And they're right on track where they need to be. They're about a week behind. They're having issues with steel. And
That's
actually,
impressive.
they delivered the roof trusses this morning out there.
Hmm.
So that's all I have. Any questions?
He looks like a kid at Christmas, doesn't he?
He is.
Talking about that station. Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, then our next will be from Clerk of Court, so I can introduce our newest team member, Miss Donna.
Hi.
And I can't remember, is it Dorado or Dorado? Dorado?
It's Dorado.
Dorado.
Most people pronounce it Dorado, and I stopped correcting people 25 years ago. So
I'll try to remember.
It's fine.
You can correct me.
It is fine, it is fine. So, good evening. It's my first committee meeting, so just bear with me.
You're fine.
So I guess it's been about 40 days or so that I've been with the city. still reviewing everything, still kind of, getting a handle on things. As far as the budget review, I don't have much. I'll definitely, have that next month for you and all. And the only other, reports that I have that I just wanna kind of go over with y'all is, I did get the department up to date with all the back, months of the revenue reports to the state treasurer. So we are now current. So we submitted July, August, September, and October. So we are current with that, and good with the state. The other thing I've been really trying to focus on a lot is trying to get a handle on, SD court administration's like retention and destruction, schedule. I'm trying to see, before I have somebody come in and kind of see what we need, first I want to kind of assess what we have back there, what we definitely do need to keep and go by, and kind of assess what we have as far as what we need. So that'll kind of probably be somewhat of a priority for me.
And I want to thank you, an email was shared with me where you said you were communicating with the police department as far as who was going to be on call for the entire month,
Yes, yeah,
so
put together a
that was-
calendar, an on-call calendar.
it sounds very simple, but that's,
Yeah, hopefully.
being a part of the team and
it's-
communicating, so I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. And the other thing, if you're kind of been in preliminary discussions about possibly changing the court dates a little bit to maybe simplify it and having one shift per court date to try to simplify that. So that's kind of just.
Any questions? Okay. Well, again, welcome and thank you
All
so
right,
much.
thank you.
All right, we got police up next, and Chief Miller's out. Doing something fun. He's got an excellent backup.
So,
Yeah, pretty good.
going, he's got me a little script here to go off of, but our budget looks good. One line is for our vehicle maintenance, which will take a hit this month. It's because of our insurance checks that were written to and sent to the city for a vehicle, patrol vehicle collision that we had, but the city is being compensated, so we're leaving out. But other than that, budget's fine. Additional items, today is our second to last day of Citizens Academy, so going strong. They have a good sized class and they're very attentive, excuse me, and they're understanding and working with law enforcement. So it's been a good class. Corporal Madden has also been doing the CRAZE classes, the civilian response to active shooter events for the departments within the city. Chief would like to thank the department heads personally for sending their employees to the classes. Corporal Madden's also been quite busy lately.
Yes, it has.
Doing CRAZE classes for other businesses within the city and outside the city limits as well, and daycares and things like that. And finally, we went out in the community during Halloween season, giving out candy and other items at multiple trunk or treats and community events. Again, Corporal Madden has been the one spearheading that effort with him and Corporal Sacek as well.
Now, I was gonna say, I don't know who's been busier, Madden or Word.
Now that's it's pretty close. Right?
They're kind of hand in hand there.
Marcus fluffier.
Well, I'll just go with Greg, we'll say cuter too, sorry, Madden. You might want to stay up since we have no unfinished, or if you're finished with your budget report, you good? Okay, so we have no unfinished business. The first item of new business is the amended agreement with County Drug Enforcement Unit. That's pretty much spelled out. I actually had a conversation last week with Chief Miller on this. So if the committee has any particular questions they have, feel free to ask at this time. It's basically, from what I understand, just amending the mutual aid agreement that we already have to allow for the salary portion of this position. It still remains with the sheriff's department, solicitor's office, but each, as I understand it, all the chiefs within the county are part of the governing board. So it doesn't have any financial impact with city Mauldin, it's just an amendment to include this change.
It's time I'd like to make a motion to make the amendments to the mutual aid. From the DEU to allow the sheriff to provide the commander and pay his salary.
Thank you, Mr. Crowley. Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions, comments?
And on that, the setting council for.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I didn't say it that way.
All right, all those in favor of forwarding to full council, the approval for the amendment to the mutual aid with the drug enforcement unit, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, none opposed, motion carries unanimously. All right, good, thank you. Next up, we have the Duke Energy utility easement on pages 13 through 16. Again, this is pretty straightforward and pertains to an easement that is needed for the construction of the new fire station.
I'd like to make a motion that we send this to full council, the Duke Energy easement for the fire station.
Thank you, Mr. Alden. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Craylon. Any questions, comments, otherwise? Hearing none, all those in favor of forwarding to full council consideration and action on granting a utility easement to Duke Power, say aye. Aye. None opposed, motion carries unanimously. Okay. So up next, we have the grant acceptance. This is a grant that Sergeant Sam Harrell was working on. And we received notification, I believe last week, that the grant was awarded for the cameras in the tune of $86,542. So that was exciting news that we received. And again, Sam stays in our thoughts and in our discussions as his hard work continues to show even after his passing. So if you have any questions regarding this, there will be a budget amendment needed since this wasn't included because we didn't have the grant when we passed the budget. Where's Holly? I'm assuming we will do this in May, June with all the other amendments to the budget. Okay, thank you.
It's kind of like to make a motion to the full council, the acceptance of this grant for the police cameras.
Thank you, Mr. Craylon. Have a motion to have a second?
Second.
Second, any questions, comments? Yes, sir, Mr. Allgood.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question regarding the need for the in cameras. I assume it's because we have the new cars and therefore this is going to the new vehicles and the old ones were disposed of the old vehicles.
Yes, yeah. They're all in-car cameras for the new vehicles for this year and next year.
That's all the question.
Thank you. All right, all those, if there's no other questions, all those in favor of the motion to forward to full council, the acceptance of the grant for the in-car cameras for the police vehicle, say aye. Aye. None opposed, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. See, that wasn't too bad. We're back around to our next public comment section. Anyone would have anybody online?
Nope.
I'll just bring it back down, okay? Seeing none, committee concerns. Hearing none, what do we have on adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
We stand adjourned at 6:15. Stay put.
call to order the Public Works Committee. So number 7 is 6:16 p.m. I have May, Michael Reynolds. First of all, we start out, any public comments for Public Works? Anyone who want online? All right. All right, we're right here on reading and approval of minutes from September 6th.
Motion to approve as submitted.
Motion, do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign, ayes have it. All right, reports from communications from city officers, Mr. Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Councilman. As far as the budget goes, at this point, we should have approximately 68% in our budget. Sewer, street, sanitation, admin, fleet, parks, we're all around 71 to 74%. So we're right where we need to be at this point in the fiscal year. As far as everything else, capital purchases, the Vector truck, which we purchased in the 2021-2022 fiscal year, was delivered. We got it on the road and it's been in use. The guys love it. It's a great piece of machinery. I'm sending their thanks to you guys. It certainly beats towing around the old sewer jet. A boom truck got delivered on Friday. It wasn't supposed to be here till December, so it got delivered ahead of schedule. So we're looking good there. Since we last met, we finished out the HVAC units at Public Works and the units in City Hall and the police department dispatch. Like to thank them for accommodating us. Obviously, we had to move dispatch and operations for a couple days to get HVAC in over there, but it's been a success. So that whole HVAC as part of the ARPA spending is basically wrapping up. It's been a great success. We've gotten all of them in with minimal disruption to city services. As far as the other projects like the sewer, if you remember, we had a rural infrastructure authority grant. All of that line, relining a sewer pipe, it's about grand total, I think 2.7 miles is what we end up doing. It's been complete. They just sent their notification to me today saying that all their punch list items have been addressed. So that's about to completely just wrap up and be over. And we're going to start right into the next relining project, which is the other portion of the ARPA spending for sewer upgrades. We've sent out an RFP to repave the parking lot at Public Works. That was part of the capital budget for this year. So when we get through, evaluation committee and everything, we'll have a recommendation to council. And then if you don't read the weekly updates, we began conducting an asset inventory for the city stormwater system. Staff is opening every catch basin and working with surveyors, providing traffic control so that every stormwater feature in the city can be mapped. So we'll have a good understanding of what we have and what we can do.
Any surprises?
Not really.
Nothing major.
I mean, we've in the, I hate to give a history lesson. When I first started at Public Works, there wasn't any stormwater. There was really the mayor's kind of push to do something with stormwater. The guys, we break leaves away from catch basins, and subsequently, since in the 3 years now that I've been here, we've kind of migrated from just a street crew to a street stormwater, and we've opened up, clean, rebuild. You can read the updates, you see it. I mean, it's we're like 600, 700 catch basins in. We've seen a lot of it, and we've repaired a lot of it. Now it's just getting it all mapped out so that we can continue to maintain it, and then look to upgrade it.
November 7th and one comment on leaves.
Well, let's be fair.
Just starting.
We've been running 2 trucks. We've stayed on top of it. But this last weekend with the rain and into today, you're gonna see, this is when they all fall all at once. And this is when everyone starts complaining because we can't get there fast enough.
Mr. Matthews was upstairs talking about a drinking game before how many times the word leaves came up tonight.
No, we've been able to send out routinely 2 trucks every day, and so we've been keeping the city pretty clean.
It's been good, for sure.
Yes.
All right, move on, there's no unfinished business here. New business, on-call sanitary sewer engineering contract.
All right, so what you have before you is a request for consideration and action on an assignment of contract with CHA for continued on-call sanitary sewer engineering services. Fraser Engineering has been the city's sewer engineer for in excess of 15 years. Aaron Fraser is just as much part of the city as anyone else. He knows more about, he's the only person that knows more about your sewer system than me. The guy has been a tremendous asset to the city. And he got an offer for his company to buy out. He had been fielding a number of offers. Ultimately, he chose this company because his deal was, he's not retiring and he wants all of his people to have jobs. And so basically his entire firm is just being folded into this organization. They don't have any representation in the state. Fraser's group gets to stay as a whole. And, you know, we've had a great working relationship and we intend to maintain that relationship moving forward for as long as that man wants to work. So what we're asking is that the city send this to, the council send this to committee, send this to council, I apologize, for authorization so that we can assign all the Fraser Engineering contracts to CHA. The recommendation for Public Works is that we do this.
This is just primary, we're just changing the name.
That's it. It's a
It's
name
the
change.
same.
Everything stays exactly the same. All the rates are the same. Everything's the same. The people I talk to every day, the same. They just have a new logo.
I'll make a motion for full council, the authorization of assigning the Fraser Engineering contract to CHA Consulting.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Chairman, one second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign, ayes have it. Moves to full council. All right, and the state highway project agreement.
All right, what you have before you is a request to, for the committee and council to approve and authorize the municipal state highway project agreement for the Butler Road project. Butler Road project's moving forward. It is. I had a meeting with the DOT last week with all the utility contractors. They set out all of the benchmarks for when we have to do everything for utility relocation. The finalized plans have been sent to the Columbia office for authorization. For the most part, it's stayed intact with what they've been showing us. It's scaled back a little bit. Obviously, it has to do with the cost. You know, we're still getting Butler repaved. We're still getting a walking trail. They're relocating Bethel Road. They're doing improvements to the intersection at Old Mill. They're at the point now where they're gonna start with the right of way acquisition. So this project's gonna happen. And what you have before you is basically the standard agreement from the DOT for the city to acknowledge and agree to this work to be conducted within this municipal boundaries.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we send to full council with a recommendation of approval, the municipal state highway project agreement for Butler Road repaving project.
Second.
Second. Excuse me, any discussion?
So I'm assuming there's no definite timeline. Are they indicating when the project,
2024.
okay, that's, okay.
Sound right, correct?
This is the same contract, that we've seen this.
Just, I know we're gonna have to move some utilities, we got some clay pipes, we'll have.
So more than half of the sewer lines along Butler Road have been relined. When you reline a pipe, the rigidity of that pipe, the stiffness, the strength of that pipe essentially exceeds that of ductile iron, which is the minimum criteria for pipes to be left underneath the asphalt in accordance with the new South Carolina Department of Transportation Utilities Accommodation Manual. I spoke at length with them last week about the opportunity to leave our lined pipes in place rather than to incur the expense of relocating them. The reason being is that in projects like these, 4% of the total cost of the project is set aside. And for small utilities, for utility relocation. That equates to approximately $800,000 for this project. For us to actually relocate the entire sewer line from 276 here all the way to the bridge, it's give or take about $3 million. And so I spoke at length with them during the meeting and after the meeting about using this as an opportunity to say, reline sewer pipes are good enough to stay in place, to meet the classification. They're willing to listen, they're willing to move forward. I know Fraser Engineering today, we're putting together our package for the utility relocation. And our recommendation is to keep our existing infrastructure in place. And then the lines that are present that aren't relined, be relined with that 4% memorandum of agreement that they have in place. And we're gonna do this early because it's actually due by May of next year. We're gonna go ahead and get it in probably this month or next to get the ball rolling, get the conversation started. Because then if it does work, then we're in a great position. If not, we still have some time before we have to move to that next stage.
Is there anything you feel like still, sound like this, it's still needs, say, negotiation or still working through with the project?
They finalized their plans to submit it to Columbia. They're ready to move forward into the right-of-way acquisitions.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of moving this to full council for approval, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign, ayes have it. All right, move on, public comment.
There was a public comment that came from Cindy. He couldn't be here tonight. His name is MJ Cici. He lives at the Benbrook Apartments that are on Miller Road. The history behind it is they're apartments or condos, but and at one point they had dumpsters, and then at some point, the past public works director was like, well, you know what, I can do a deal. We can just put 20 trash cans up there. And we met, I brought this before council, in council, and council's like, listen, the ordinances are the ordinances. They can't have 20 trash cans in a structure in the back of this, complex. They either need to have a dumpster or take the cans to the street. For about a year now, they've been taking them to the street, and it's been fun. This gentleman was on the HOA board, he's been voted off. HOA was like, we're not gonna do city sanitation anymore, we're gonna contract it out like the way it was. And they've been contracting sanitation for a year and a half, not a problem. Mr. Cici is asking now, even though we provide no services to them whatsoever, for us to go in and pick up bulk items and brush. I've explained that with brush, that the city ordinances will not allow that because every bit of property at Benbrook Apartments is an HOA. All right, it's not an individual homeowner. So any tree that you trim down, you're a contractor because you don't own it. But he still believes that we should pick up the brush and then the bulk items because people move in and out, and I guess their contract holiday is charging them too much, so he wants us to do it for free. So I'm here in providing his public comment. The city should provide these services for free.
Thank you, I was a little confused over the email, going back to 2008, if I remember correctly, the history.
And that email will be put in the record by the clerk.
But the city ordinances as they're written do not allow us to pick up brush there. And technically, and we've kind of circled this a number of times, bulk items by ordinance are not supposed to be picked up by the city sanitation services. Everything's supposed to be in trash cans. We kind of do bulk as an added perk to being a resident of the city. So ultimately, I defer to you guys and your logic as to what public works should do at this point.
Thank you. Any other public comments, anyone on the left?
No,
Committee concerns?
No, I think one of the things I would suggest the committee do as we move forward is let's address the bulk items so that we don't have them have to do it, wing it. Let's spell out whether or not we want that to be part of our ordinance or not, because it
Currently is part of our ordinance.
bulk items are technically right, they're supposed to be in the trash can, so if we're doing that, let's give them a leg to stand on. So that when it comes up, that someone says we didn't pick it up, and you say, well, I can't, we don't have confusion there, so let's at least address that, and I think that would fix this issue as well, because if we're not technically supposed to pick up all items, it's not a service we provide, then. But anyways, that can be something for a future meeting. discussion call.
Any concerns? All right, we'll look at that and we'll hear on adjournment.
So moved.
Second, we are adjourned.
Okay, I'd like to go ahead and call this November 7th. Policy Committee meeting to order. The date is November 7th, the time is 6:33. Members present are myself, Ms. Carol Key, Ms. Diane Kuzma, as well as our interim city administrator, Ms. Vance, and our finance director is here as well, Mark Putnam, HR director. First item is called order, second item is going to be public comment. Do I have any public comment for this meeting? Seeing and hearing none. Next item is going to be reading and approval of minutes. It was from September 6, 2022.
Motion to approve as submitted.
Now, a motion to approve the September 6, 2022 meeting minutes as submitted. Do I have a second?
Second.
Now, a motion and a second. All of those in favor?
Aye.
I realize there was no discussion, Ms. King. Carries unanimous. Next item is reports and communications from our interim administrator, Ms. Rebecca Vance.
Mr. Chairman, committee members, I will kind of refer my budget discussion to Holly, obviously. There's nothing that I think you guys need to pay any attention to with our administrative budget. Everything's quite in line. I do want to mention that, remind everyone that the 18th, the auditors will be here to give us our audit report in the afternoon. So I want to thank Holly for all of her hard work and as she's stretching her neck back there, working with our new auditors. And I think you guys will be pleased.
I'm sure we will be pleased with both the results and the auditors. Any questions for Ms. Vance? Hearing none, next one would be Ms. Holly Abercrombie.
Good evening, members of the committee. I don't really have anything to address. I will just say that the budget calendar is in your packet for information purposes only. As we get ready to start that part of our year. And like Rebecca said, the auditors will be doing their presentation on the 18th. We're wrapping things up. And that's all I have. As for all the budgets, they look to where they should be for this time of year. Revenues are kind of slow right now. They'll pick up when property taxes come late December, January-ish. But everything looks good for now right now. I don't have any questions.
Any questions, Ms. Abercrombie? Hearing none, thank you, Ms. Abercrombie. Our HR director, Mr. Mark Putnam.
Chairman Reynolds, committee. Want to let you know that on our comp and class study with Evergreen LLC, last month we completed the data dump to them so they know all the employees we have, what jobs they're in. This coming Monday and Tuesday, Evergreen will be on site and we'll be doing some focus meetings with as many employees as we can get through there so that the employees will need to fill out, you know, hey, take a look at this, is what your job description is this what you really do? We want to kind of explain to them what they need to do, and why they need to do it, and how important it is. So we're going to have them on site Monday and Tuesday. Also, this coming Monday, 14th, at around 8:45, 9 o'clock in the morning, we're going to have our annual Thanksgiving breakfast for all the employees at the senior center. Any council that can make it would be greatly glad to have you there. And you may say, why are you doing it a week before Thanksgiving? We find that a lot of employees take some days off during that time. So to try to reach as many as we can, we'll have it during that time. And that's it.
Yes, Ms.
Sorry,
Kuzma.
can you give me the date and time again?
It'll be this coming Monday, the 14th, around 8:45, 9 o'clock at the senior center.
Mr. Putnam. You probably can tackle that pretty quick. Let's see, we have no unfinished business.
Yes.
Our only new business is going to be the insurance renewal, that's going on page 6 through 8 in the packet. Mr. Putnam is our insurance connoisseur. He'll update us and talk to us about what we're looking at here.
And I've spoke to, I think, all before the meeting, and I want to again apologize for everything looking as confusing as it is, but health benefits in particular have become very confusing and complicated over the last 10 to 15 years. But to give you an overall of it, our dental and vision with Emeritus will hold flat this year. There will not be an increase to that. And as far as I know, that's probably been running about 10 years. We've not had an increase in that. With the health benefits, for the last 2 years, we've had no increases in anything, the premiums, and we've actually been able to reduce the employees that play employee and spouse, employee and children and family. We've been able to reduce those payments every month. We're not going to be able to do that this year. Our fees from our TPM, which is Anchor, remain the same. Where we saw an increase is with our gap insurance, and just to remind you of that, that's where the city right now will pay the first $65,000 of a claim. Then after that, the gap insurance will take place and pick up that slack. This year, as you know, all those insurances have a benchmark that says if you stay under this, we're good. If you go above it, there will be an increase, and we crossed that line this year with the gap insurance. So if you look at it, you can see that Nationwide has come back with us anywhere from a 9.2 to a 7.2 increase. We would like to step up to a $75,000 gap limit this year. And we feel that that's doable. We'll be okay with that. And excuse me, and that will bring us in at a 7.2% increase. So we would like for a committee to recommend to full council that we stay with everything that we've got and and go to a $75,000 cap limit with Nationwide, and that would include a 7.2% increase.
Do we have any questions for Putnam? Yes, Ms. King.
Mr. President, do you know what, I mean, we know what the cost will be to the city. What would be the cost to employees? Will there be any change?
Yes,
I know cell phone employee only.
the employees will be at 7.2%. It'll be around anywhere, depending on what they're taking, anywhere from 8 to about, if I'm doing my math right, about $11 more, depending on which one you have
This is just,
per pay period.
Okay.
So that could be anywhere from $16 a month to $22 a month.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Reynolds, I would like to add, I try to say this annually, but several years ago, you know, we talked about getting to where we are today. So I think staff has done a fantastic job in getting us to that self-funded sort of look when it comes to healthcare. I think it's important to remind folks that when there are increases, it's a lot, well, it is bottom line tied to the number of employees. And because we, in the big scheme of things, don't have, you know, we're less than 200 full-time employees. So you can have a couple of large claims and that affects the big picture. So having said that, I don't think a 7.2 is that bad. It is what it is where we are with insurance today, unfortunately. And we've been fortunate the last 2 years not to have an increase. And I appreciate the recommendation on the 75,000 gap. But again, thank you and your team for whoever worked with you on this, because it's not an easy task. And I know y'all keep the employees in mind, because it hurts their bottom line too. So, thank you, Mr. Reynolds.
Stan. Comments, I'm sure Mr. Putnam appreciates, and that there were multiple employees involved in this decision and process, and to shadow what you were saying, I absolutely agree. The city made the decision to move to this type of insurance system several years ago was thoughtful, and I think we're seeing the benefits of that thought now. So with all that said, to make sure we cover everything that we need to send to full council, you'll have the anchor benefits, proactive MD, emeritus, and then nationwide with, can that be alternative two?
Yes. Ms. Reynolds, I'll go ahead and make the motion for requesting committee board to full council, the recommendation to approve the renewal for medical health insurance renewals for anchor benefits, proactive MD, and emeritus for dental and vision, as well as the alternative two with nationwide, including increasing our gap from 65 to 75,000.
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second on the second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to send with recommendation of approval, the renewal with anchor benefits, proactive, emeritus, and nationwide. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carries unanimous, please send that to full council. Okay. Thank you, committee. Thank you, Mr. Putnam. Next item is going to be public comment. Do we have anyone online or in attendance who would like to speak to this committee? Hearing and seeing none. Committee concerns? Hearing and seeing none, we're adjourned.
So moved.
Second.
A motion to adjourn. I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned. Next meeting, under building and code.
Actually,
Good evening. I will call to order the Building Codes Committee, November the 7th, 7:47. All present are myself, Councilman Manny, Councilman Allgood, Director David Deerhog, and our interim administrator, Mr. Rebecca Banks. First up, we will have public comment. Is there any public comment? Okay, hearing none, what do I hear on reading and approval of the minutes?
Move for approval of submitted.
Any discussion changes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. Okay, motion carried, unanimous. Next, we have our reports from our city officers, Mr. Dearborn.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. First, I'll give you a budget update. We are running where we need to be with most all our line items. There is one line item, though, that is blown through what we expected so this year, and that's for our building inspection services. We've had higher level of building inspections than we ever have historically, and our building official has been restricted from being able to perform inspections himself. So we've been leaning entirely on RCI for our services for building inspections, and where we were not anticipating that we were going to be using them for all. So that's why we have gone through that particular line item, but the rest of the budget is in good shape. And then the other thing, just to report on our activity level, I already mentioned that we're continuing to see record numbers of building inspections being requested and performed. But we have been tracking very carefully the new home permits, just to, with everything happening in the construction industry, as well as increasing federal rates. Our new home permits continue to trend a little bit lower right now. We've been down about 5 out of the last 7 months. And I say down in relation to where we've been over the last year and a half. So we only issued 8 new permits for new homes this last month, and we're going to continue to keep our eye on that.
Thank you, Mr. Dearborn. Anyone have questions? We do not have any untouched business. Our new business is an amendment to the Mauldin zoning ordinance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This should look familiar to you. The committee has looked at this before as recently as last month. This went to just a summary. This is a ordinance that will amend the standards for drive-throughs within the city. It defines what a drive-through facility is. It restricts it in the central redevelopment district, and just has an update of some of the standards citywide as far as the general standards go. The Planning Commission held a public hearing for this item on October 25th. There were no public comments that were offered at that hearing, and the Planning Commission voted 4-0 to recommend approval of this ordinance.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for Mr. Dearborn? Mr. Allen?
During the planning commission meeting, was there any discussion on planning commission about the ordinance itself?
Just 1 or 2 simple questions, but they didn't have any recommendations to change anything about it.
The way that this is written, it is specifically to the central redevelopment district, correct?
There's a section in it that is specific to the central redevelopment district, and that section says that drive-through facilities shall be strictly prohibited within that district. Existing drive-through facilities may remain but shall not be expanded or enlarged. Additionally, existing drive-through facilities shall not be allowed vehicular access to new streets constructed within this district, where the facility will still be accessible via existing streets. And then there are some general standards that apply citywide, and those have been just slightly modified and had a couple of things added to that.
So 2 quick questions on that specific paragraph, that's 5, 6, 16 drive-through facilities. for layman's terms, if someone already has it, they're grandfathered in.
Correct.
And then the second part to that is, when it says existing drive-through facilities may remain, but shall not be expanded or enlarged. From a legal standpoint, you're not representing legal, but if someone was to expand or enlarge to conform with the standard, then that would be okay, correct?
If they're in the central redevelopment district, and this is typical of anything that's typically grandfathered in as a non-conforming structure or facility, they are not allowed to expand or enlarge, and that is basically so that you don't continue to allow them to perpetuate indefinitely. That and that's the case here. So they could not expand it or enlarge. They couldn't make more lanes. That kind of thing, because we're not trying to help them to prolong this indefinitely.
Okay, so even if the improvements are to be made, would get them to the vehicle requirements for stacking spaces, it would still not be applicable in the central redevelopment.
Correct.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Manning? All right. What do I hear on recommendation?
Move the board full council with recommendation of approval.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, those in favor of forwarding this to full council, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, and the motion carries unanimous. All right, we're back to public comment. Is there any public comment? State your name and address, please.
My name is Marcos Lysick, and at 108 Belgian Blue Way in Fountain. Madam Chair, thank you everybody for letting me speak again tonight. I spoke at the October council meeting with regards to the possible amendment to one of the zoning standards that required the 30,000 square foot minimum development tenant size for my coin business. I guess I'm back here today, see if anybody has any questions or if I can clarify any information in order to give a better understanding to what I'm seeking in that amendment, potential.
Okay, so right now your coin business is online.
Correct.
Okay, and is that what you're going to continue?
We will, yes, that will definitely continue. We're looking for a local presence as well. We would like an actual.
Okay, so you will have like foot traffic.
Correct.
And you will be displaying coins or?
Yes, it'll be numismatic, old world coins. It'll be both new and old. Something I've been into since I was a kid. This is a family business as well, so my mother will be there, definitely helping me with day-to-day operations. I have an absolute passion for it. The reason, I guess, one of the reasons what we're thinking about Mauldin is we'd love to be as close to Greenville without being in Greenville, the city, as possible. We find ourselves in the city a lot with baseball, where baseball's our life other than statics and precious metals. And we've grown to love the city and everything that is here, a small town, but yet growing regardless, yes.
Any further questions?
So you're from Fountain Inn, why not do this in Fountain Inn? Do they have a similar law?
No, foot traffic for the most part. This business is the highest. Foot traffic would be working with Mr. McChesney, which is where I would be in, I'd be subleasing from him where the Mauldin Deli location used to be. That's where he is currently. I would be subleasing in his space. So this wouldn't be a space that I would be taking over that isn't already allocated somewhere, if that makes any sense. It would be quite small as well. It looks like it's about only 700 square feet. This would be something that they would be built. It's a shell right now that they would be building for me in that manner. It would have its own entrance as well.
Mr. Deerhawk, With this particular ordinance that we have where it says it needs to be a 30,000 foot building, is this because he falls under banking? Is there a reason why there's a 30,000 square foot limit?
This is an ordinance that was passed by the city some number of years ago as it relates to businesses that do loans like payday lenders or, and it included precious metal dealers like We Buy Gold or Gold Coin type establishments like he is. They were all lumped in together.
And this is not a pawn shop, this is not a title loan, we have absolutely no interest, nor will we ever seek anything like that. Will we buy gold? Absolutely, that's the business, right, along with the spectrum, right, platinum, silver, and all of that.
Questions, Mr. Ratman?
Thank you.
Okay, any committee's concerns? Hearing none, what do I hear on adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned at